Alright, listen, we're gonna get you out here. We looked into the case a little bit further, and we're not charging you with anything.
Around midnight on Christmas Eve of 2021, 18-year-old Ariana Ptarcinski was at home with her parents and new boyfriend of about 9 months, 20-year-old Ramon Durst. After they attended a Christmas event with other family members, they were back at Ariana's house getting ready to go to sleep. Moments after Ariana's parents, Eddie and Judy Ptarcinski, go to sleep in their master bedroom, chaos erupts.
Listen to me. What happened?
I don't know what happened.
Okay, listen to me. Sir, is someone hurt? You need to tell me yes or no. Is someone hurt?
Eddie steps out of his bedroom and the first thing he sees is Ramon holding Ariana by her hair and neck. Her neck had been severely cut and they were both covered in her blood. Seconds after Eddie lays eyes on Ariana, she collapses to the floor unconscious, while Ramon is screaming out he messed up. Ramon and Eddie are yelling back and forth at each other in their front yard. Some of their neighbors would hear the commotion and just start rushing towards their house, while Ariana is still bleeding out on the floor inside their residence. Authorities would arrive on scene and quickly transport Ariana to the hospital, where she would end up on life support. They put her mother Judy in the back of a patrol car, while Eddie and Ramon were both put in handcuffs, driven down to the police station, briefly talked to, and then let go, promising the Ptarcinski family they were going to continue investigating Ariana's death. 2 years after her murder, and the Hernando County Sheriff's Office left the family helpless when they decided to close the case with no charges filed. With Ramon being the only other person in the room at the time of Ariana's murder, they let him walk free without question. Welcome back to the dark side of life. Born and raised in Spring Hill, Florida, Ariana Ptarcinski was an extraordinarily smart, driven, and artistic person. In June of 2020, Ariana was 18 years old and had just graduated from Central High School with high honors, meaning she was recognized for her academic excellence in her class. Her parents, Eddie and Judy, would describe her as an introverted, shy person who would definitely keep to herself a lot, but that didn't hinder her love for helping others any chance she got. She was also an amazing role model and would look out for her younger sister, 12-year-old Isabella, who she adored and would spend a great deal of time with. Ariana had a burning passion for art that was clear as day, and she was an incredible artist too, spending a lot of her free time drawing and/or doing makeup. She was a free-spirited girl who, after graduating, was starting her journey into adulthood. Someone who had recently moved to this area from New Jersey was 20-year-old Ramon Durst, who was allegedly living with his grandmother in Ocala while working in Orlando as an electrician apprentice. Ocala is approximately 70 miles north of Spring Hill, and according to her father Eddie, Ariana met Ramon through some friends of hers, and the couple started dating several months before she graduated. Ramon was Ariana's first boyfriend, and Eddie said he seemed like a nice kid during the limited time he spent with him. When the end of the year finally rolled around and everyone was preparing to celebrate the holidays in 2021, Ramon and Ariana had been dating for approximately 9 months and had what seemed to be a good relationship with your average ups and downs. Nothing out of the ordinary, and up until this point, things were going well for the Ptarcinski family. Ariana was thriving and making forward progress in her life. She had just got her driver's license, as well as starting her first part-time job at Hobby Lobby, which she was thrilled about. She was beginning to hit some of the goals that she had set for herself, like signing up for college come January of the following year. We know quite a bit about Ariana and her life, but unfortunately, I can't seem to find much background on Ramon besides what's been stated. So realistically, we don't know much about this kid's upbringing or what his demeanor was like.
Got my daughter by the hair and by the neck, and she just has like blood coming out of her mouth and couldn't speak. There's blood everywhere.
On December 25th, 2021, Ramon was going to attend a family get-together with Ariana and her parents for Christmas Eve. The plan was, following the evening spent with family, Ramon would go back to the Ptarcinski residence and stay the night with Ariana. Their evening went as planned, and they all attended the gathering before returning back to the family's house for the night. It was roughly midnight when everybody home started getting ready to go to bed. Her younger sister Isabella was in her room watching a movie while she fell asleep. Judy and Eddie had made their way into the master bedroom and laid down, while Raymond and Ariana were in her bedroom. It wasn't long after everybody laid down when all of a sudden Eddie hears Raymond screaming at the top of his lungs, "Eddie, Eddie!" So he sprints out of his room to find Ariana's bedroom door was open and Raymond was standing there holding Ariana by her hair and neck. Eddie says he noticed that Ariana was leaking blood out of her neck that was badly cut, as well as blood pouring out of her mouth, and she was unable to speak. Basically, as soon as Eddie laid eyes on his daughter, she collapsed to the ground, motionless, while severely bleeding. So he frantically finds his phone to call 911, while Raymond is in the background screaming that he fucked up.
Listen to me. What happened?
I don't know what happened.
Okay, listen to me. Sir, is someone hurt? You need to tell me yes or no. Is someone hurt?
Yes, my daughter's bleeding. That's her neck is cut. My daughter's neck is cut. What happened? She was upset. Got a knife, dude.
Who has a knife? Someone, I can't understand what's going on.
Ariana is not responding to her father. There's blood all over their house, and he's obviously in a panic, screaming out for help, while Raymond is saying things like he messed up. In the midst of the havoc, Isabella would wake up to hear the arguing between her father and Raymond, but said from her room she couldn't make out what was being said. Curious, Isabella walks out there to see what in the world is going on, and says when she walked out of her room, Raymond was carrying Ariana by her hair into her parents' master bedroom. At this point, Eddie and the others in the house are screaming and yelling so loudly that Thomas LoBianco, who lived 4 houses down, immediately called the cops and just started rushing towards the chaos to help Eddie. By the time Thomas made it to their property, Eddie and Raymond's argument had led them right outside the front door of their house, so Thomas is looking at the duo while he's approaching them. Raymond is drenched in Ariana's blood, and Eddie is screaming at Raymond, "You killed my daughter." And Raymond screams back at Eddie, "Well, what the fuck does it matter? I'm going to jail anyway." According to Thomas, Raymond then started aggressively charging at Eddie, and Thomas wasn't sure what his intentions were. He's covered in blood and just charging at his neighbor. So Thomas loads up and clocks Raymond right in the side of the head, causing him to lean forward a bit. And since he didn't fall, Thomas just clocks him one more time, causing him to hit the ground. All while Raymond is shouting stuff like, "I really messed up. Shoot me because I'm going to jail for a long time." Finally, the authorities arrive, and first responders immediately get Ariana into an ambulance and transport her to the trauma center at Bayonet Point Hospital in Hudson, Florida. At the same time, police handcuffed just about everybody. Eddie was shocked when he was forced to his knees with a rifle in his face, but he complied before being handcuffed. Judy, who was described in police reports as very intoxicated at the time, was put in the back of a patrol car and held there for a significant amount of time, during which another set of officers would process the crime scene, gathering evidence and investigating what took place there. When they put Raymond in the back of the patrol car, the subsequent dashcam footage was released, which is an important piece of this story and is seemingly being ignored. If you listen to some of the things he is saying, they are certainly displaying that of a guilty mind.
Oh my God, my daughter. Oh my God. God, please help me, man. Please help me. My daughter's sick.
My life's over right now.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. You see what the situation is.
I don't know what the situation is. I've been
What?
outside with you.
Okay. What do you think the situation is?
I don't know. I don't want to assume.
You see what I'm covered in? The situation is like, my life's over. I'm 20 years old.
I couldn't hear you.
I fucking slept on that wet bed, and it's all over.
You slept in the bed.
I slip on the bed. I slip on the bed. A dream, you know? Or a nightmare, rather. I know you just want information with me right now.
Huh?
I know you just want information, so you can prosecute.
Who have people that want to get information from you?
Do you know what federal prison I'd go to? Merry Christmas. I love you, Ariana.
Judy, while she may be heavily intoxicated, she was being held outside of their house in the back of an officer's patrol car, and the footage of it that was released, you can hear she's clearly in distress. On top of that, after she was put back there, she had to use the restroom and eventually starts begging this officer to please let her use the bathroom. The officer would deny her that opportunity, and Judy would tell the officer, like, look, I'm gonna have to pee myself if I can't go to the bathroom. This officer would tell Judy, it is what it is. And not long after that, Judy was forced to relieve herself in what she was wearing in the back of this officer's car.
Please, God, save my Ariana. Please, I need to save my Ariana. Please, God, please save my Ariana. Oh, God, please! You hear me? I know you do. Please, just open the door and let me just pee. Please. Please. I need to know what's going on with my baby, please. Please. Why are you doing this? It's a lot for me, and I know I don't deserve any mercy.
Listen, I'm not here to judge you, partner. I am not. That's not me. I'm not here to judge you in any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying to get some information, okay?
I know.
Do you have a middle name?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Oh my God. What's the crime like here?
If I knew what was going on, I could tell you, but I don't.
What does the crime in this area have to do with me?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I just asked what the crime was like in this area. Is there a lot of crime in this area?
Average?
I love you. I love you. I love you. Why? Why? I'm going to get raped in prison. Why do they do that? Why is it so brutal and violent? I deserve it. How do you think one goes on?
Huh?
How do you think one goes on in a situation like this? I don't want to get...
Let me be clear. I am by no means a professional in crime or criminology, nor do I know exactly how investigators are supposed to do their job. So anything I say is either my opinion or pure speculation, but this entire investigation just seems pathetic. Just 7 minutes after the video begins, the officer opens the door, walks in, and immediately tells Raymond he gets to freely walk out of the police department and will not be going to jail that night. He was not treated as a suspect for this murder. Officers never read him his Miranda warnings. They didn't put an ounce of pressure on this man, who clearly just exhibited thoughts of a guilty mind, was the only other person in the room with Ariana, and is still covered in her blood. When they tell Raymond this, you will see and hear just how genuinely shocked he is. It's almost as if he's saying, "What? You're gonna let me go after what just happened?" The dashcam footage would come to an end while Raymond was questioning the officer about what his children wanted to be when they grew up. After he and the officer arrive at the Hernando County Sheriff's Office, they bring him into what seems to be an interrogation room, where they leave him shoeless, still in this blood-soaked shirt and shorts. As he is waiting, he sits with his head on the desk for approximately 7 minutes before an officer walks in.
Alright, took the handcuffs off you? Alright, listen, we're gonna get you out of here. We looked into the case a little bit further, and we're not charging you with anything.
What?
We're not gonna charge you anything right now, okay? We're gonna look into it a little further, make sure some things are the way they're supposed to be, so you're gonna get out of here.
Raymond is even hitting him with like a head nod of confusion after he starts to talk and is cut off by this officer. This officer wouldn't even let what should be a murder suspect divulge what's on his mind, and instead asks, "Is it okay if we take pictures just in case you happen to be a victim here?" When Raymond is alive and well and Ariana is dead, when he is told again that he will not be charged, he asks the officer, "Do you know why?"
So you're gonna get out of here. But I want to ask you something. Is it okay if we take pictures of what happened with you? Since we don't know if you happen to be a victim of something, we'd like to have evidence of that too. So if you don't mind, would be able to take pictures of you, of your injuries and stuff that you got hurt.
Do you know anything? Yes, but do you know anything about her?
As far as I know, she's still in surgery. They're still working on her.
Do you know what time it is?
7:30. So if you're okay, what we'd like to do is, you're pretty bloody, your clothes are pretty bloody. We'd like to grab those two, and we can give you something to wear. We'll take pictures of you, and if you don't mind, we'll get a buccal swab from you, which is like a DNA sample. It's no big deal because you're together with her. You're in the same house.
Yeah.
So we really don't. Yeah, but it's just procedures we like to follow. So if you're okay with that, we'll do that, and then when we're done, we'll get you out of here. Is that okay for you? You're okay with that?
Yeah. What does this mean?
Right now, they're not being charged.
Do you know why?
Like you think we want to screw you, but that's not the case. We want to make sure we do everything right.
They would get him something to wear, taking his clothes as evidence, and then a forensic lady would come in, take his pictures, his fingerprints, and so on, before leaving him in the room and never coming back to question him or interview him. Really, it seems their main focus at this point is making sure he is not the victim and getting him a ride to his vehicle, along with grabbing his phone, wallet, and keys out of Ariana's room for him. Other than that, they just left him in this room to ponder in his own thoughts, until they escorted him to his vehicle and let him go, with officers telling him and Ariana's family that the investigation is still underway. While the family is waiting for justice, they are constantly being told that the authorities want to create a case that will stand up to the scrutiny of a jury. That these things take time, but they are working hard on getting to the bottom of this, promising everyone the right outcome would present itself. Media Relations Manager for the police department, Denise Maloney, said they want to make sure the evidence warrants the charges so that a jury won't throw the case out. Exactly what authorities further investigated after letting Raymond go has been heavily scrutinized, and rightfully so. They allegedly left behind some crucial pieces of evidence at the scene, such as his wallet, a pair of knives, and one of the bed sheets with Raymond's bloody handprint on it. Although the Hernando County Sheriff's Office maintains the scene was thoroughly processed and everything necessary was seized and submitted to the state attorney's office. However, if you listen to the tape, they clearly agreed to grab his wallet out of the house for him, which would most likely have his ID in it. According to the autopsy that was completed, it took only 3 days for the report to come out on December 29, 2021, where medical examiner Wayne Kurz declared Ariana's manner of death as homicide, her cause of death to be complications of a stab wound to the neck, and how this injury occurred concluded as stabbed by others. You might think they would immediately arrest Raymond and/or bring him in for a formal interview or interrogation, being he was the only other person in the room at the time of what is now confirmed to be a murder. Yet they didn't do that. They never questioned Raymond about what happened that night, they never interviewed him, and they never interrogated him. They just let time run as if there was no urgency. These investigators did not chase the truth as if it was their daughter who got murdered.
I would consider it, and then when the ME rules it a homicide, then I think you have to go back and you have to re-examine that.
Ariana's family is growing more and more frustrated by the length of time it is taking to see anything done in this case, given the circumstances and ruling of her death. A month quickly turned into a year, still nothing was done. She was killed early on December 26, 2021. It wasn't until August 16, 2023, over a year and a half later, the Ptarcinski family received a letter from Assistant State Attorney Peter Magrino. In that letter, the family was notified they would not be filing any charges in this case. Furthermore, they were going to close it, stating, "This filing decision is not based on a lack of quality of the investigation or any lack of investigative effort by the Hernando County Sheriff's Office. The decision is a legal one dealing with criminal intent and the lack of evidence thereof with regard to your daughter's death." As you know, Florida courts have historically held that acts of negligence cannot be made criminal regardless of loss of human life without mens rea. Without mens rea. Let's take a quick look at that. Mens rea, which translates to guilty mind in Latin, one Google search will answer the question, what is mens rea? The intention or knowledge of wrongdoing that constitutes part of a crime, as opposed to the action or conduct of the accused, the knowledge of wrongdoing.
I know I don't deserve any mercy. My life's over right now. The situation is like, my life's over. I'm 20 years old. I couldn't hear you. I fucking slept on that wet bed, and it's all over. Do you know what federal prison I'd go to? Why do they do that? Why is it so brutal and violent? I'm going to get... I don't want to get...
And Eddie's yelling at him, saying, "You effing killed her, you effing killed her." The kid says, "Well, what the F does it matter? I'm going to jail anyway."
I hope I find her again.
Gotta be together. Gotta get through this.
I feel like you don't need to be an expert in criminal law to put these two pieces together, that clearly some of Raymond's remarks constitute the knowledge of wrongdoing, or mens rea. If they cared to pay attention to his statements and or even reviewed the footage that was recorded that night, they would have probable cause to arrest him. With several witnesses hearing the things he was saying at the scene on top of the footage we have of his statements, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd have to be completely oblivious to the fact that your actions just caused the loss of human life, and you'd have to have no idea that you were doing anything wrong for this to stand. Not someone who is coherently acknowledging the fact that their actions are going to land them in prison for a very long time, repeating stuff like "I'm going to jail." The Hernando County Sheriff's Office is standing by their statements. They have no intentions of reopening the case as of now, and Ramon Durst has not been charged with the crime. They also said in their letter to the family they will only consider reopening the case if someone comes forward and presents new evidence. Luckily, several experts have looked into Ariana's case, and each of them have basically came to the same conclusion, that for some reason, they ignored the dashcam footage where Ramon is speaking freely. According to John Beza, a police expert witness and retired detective who worked with the New York Police Department, he says nobody looked at the 74-minute video where Durst makes numerous admissions of a guilty mind, all which constitute mens rea, later saying they were spontaneous admissions. The sheriff's office and state attorney's office need to look at these statements, then they need to follow the letter of the law. They need to arrest him because that is probable cause at that point. Now, of course, after they gave Ramon Durst all the time in the world to get prepared, he acquired a lawyer who was speaking for him. His lawyer sent out multiple statements to those who wanted information, saying Ramon has chosen not to make any statements and will not be doing so anytime soon. Another expert who looked into the case was Dr. David Thomas, former police officer turned professor of forensic studies and criminal justice at Florida's Gulf Coast University. He would review the 370-page document covering the department's investigation into Ariana's murder and discovered that a large portion of the investigation had nothing to do with actually solving the case. Out of the 373 pages, 173 of them were allegedly emails sent by Eddie, copies of social media posts, and copies of news accounts of their investigation. Dr. Thomas said they are trying to see what the public's assessment is of their work. I don't know why they would put that in the file. Another thing he touched on was the treatment and attitude the officers had towards Judy, saying there was no reason to force her to relieve herself in the back of the car, being she had done absolutely nothing wrong. According to him, they could have taken her someplace, take her out in the bushes, they could have been reasonable about it. One thing that's mentioned in several of the reports is a drawing that detectives found in Ariana's room. It was in one of her art books, and she drew a young female who had a knife in her hand, with her throat slit and blood flowing out of her neck area. She drew it approximately 15 months prior to her murder, and officers were basically telling her father it was a self-inflicted stab wound, and she was portraying it through her art leading up to it. However, Eddie and those who loved her knew that she would often draw graphic images like this one, so they knew that wasn't the case. Plus, she had recently got her first job, and just 4 days prior to her death, she got her driver's license and was extremely thrilled about it. Dr. Thomas would speak on the possibility of this being self-inflicted, saying he would consider it, but as soon as the medical examiner ruled the death a homicide, they should be re-evaluating the case.
I would consider it. And then when the ME rules it a homicide, then I think you have to go back and you have to be examined.
I hope I find her again.
Gotta be together. Gotta get through this.
Do you know what federal prison I'd go to?
It would eventually come to light through the investigation that their relationship was an up and down one that often included arguing and fighting, which also occurred on the night she was murdered. The extent of which isn't clear, but it is mentioned there's no reason to believe their relationship had ever led to physical violence before that night.
Praying for the antidote that will never come.
Could you imagine being Ariana's family in this situation? I would be constantly livid beyond belief, knowing damn well that had this been the detective's daughter or loved one, this case would have been handled entirely different, and that is f***ed up. Another thing we need is more exposure on Ariana's story. There was next to no headlines regarding her murder, and it's quite shocking to see how little coverage it got, which sucks because it results in much less pressure on that department and what I see as a lackluster, sad investigation. ABC covered her story very thoroughly and brought a few 100,000 views to it. Many people are pushing independently for justice, writing articles seeking further investigation. I was just shocked and saddened to see the lack of awareness about Ariana's murder. This story overall is infuriating. Where do you turn as a family for justice after this? How do you move forward and be at peace with a conclusion like this, let alone trust law enforcement moving forward? I'm not sure what we can do, but it sure feels like something can be done. Ariana was a beautiful soul who had a bright future ahead of her that she was ecstatic about. She was highly intelligent and could have succeeded in any field she chose. She did have dreams of one day becoming a mortician, and she had every intention of signing up for the classes to accomplish that dream of hers. She was an incredible artist who could spend all day creating, just getting better and better with every piece. Ariana was an amazing friend, daughter, sister, and she loved with all of her heart. Her parents said they and Ariana are not at peace because of this whole situation, feeling helpless in the pursuit of justice for their daughter. She was murdered just as she began to blossom, and her family is forced to live with her killer walking free. I hope something somehow changes and we see justice for Ariana Ptarcinski, who passed away at the age of 18 on December 26, 2021. Rest in peace.
'Cause now you're gone and life moves on, but still I'll always treasure all the memories with you. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on to all the memories. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on, hold on to all the memories with you.
Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you made it to the end, go down to the comment section and tell me how you feel about this case. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram at Robert Clausen with 2 N's. If you have a story suggestion, DM me on there. I think that's all I have for you guys today. Again, I truly, truly appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
You're gone and life moves